No, we never taught her how to swim yet.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Well, it's just been confirmed now by Don that Summer couldn't swim. You heard that from 11 minutes 41 seconds into Don's interview with the Voices Behind the Wall channel. I will put a link to that in the description. As I said, at 11 minutes 41 seconds. He is asked the question, was she nonverbal? Also asked, could she swim? And he answers quite unequivocally, no, we never taught her how to swim yet. I think a question that one could ask is, why not? What were they doing? What were they so busy with that they weren't able to do that? And this has been a crucial question I've been asking since the start. And now we have the answer from the source. It's not surprising, but somehow it's shocking all the same. Before we continue with this episode, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So, one of the most important tools an investigator has or doesn't have is the combination of intuition and making inferences. You've got to have that sense of intuition, and you've got to know what to do with it and how to apply it. Now, some might deride this as being judgmental. Wow, nobody knows, you weren't there, so how dare you think about it and how dare you make an inference? It's just guessing, how dare you? But consider the Barry Morphew case, where we also don't know what happened and nobody knows what happened, but someone is on trial and Suzanne still remains missing. And so something has got to be resolved there. Someone has got to make inferences based on the evidence that is there, based on also the evidence that Suzanne isn't there, what could have happened. And so, since a tranquilizer cap is part of the crime scene fabric, naturally the inference is made that that was used as a weapon and possibly also a sedative. In this case, there's a gap between what we know and what we don't know. I'm talking about the Summer Wells case. And so, based on what we do know, we can and should cautiously make an inference. If Summer couldn't swim, then the possibility of her being submerged for any length of time escalates. It escalates into a probability, and the likelihood also increases the longer they're there at the swimming hole. Consider the scenario, taking a 5-year-old to a swimming hole for the express purpose of swimming when she can't swim. Add to that scenario the possibilities and I think probabilities of distraction, neglect, intoxication, and ultimately an incident taking place when Summer drifted off and lost her footing in the subtle changes in the depth on that sort of river edge. Chris McDonough actually mentioned how there's a sudden drop-off. Well, a little child wouldn't be experienced in that area and could be caught out. And if you add all of that together, you suddenly have the perfect recipe for an incident. I also think you've got to look at the quality and characters of the kind of people who were present there. You've got a 15-year-old teenager. Is he a responsible fellow? Question. You've got Candace there. Is she a responsible mother? Was she a responsible mother? We've seen her daughter wandering around in church, never sort of called back by her mother. You don't see her mother running around after her in church. In fact, you see her mother snoozing in church, right? Then there's also grandma. We just don't know. We don't know what sort of level of care there was, but we do know that Rosemary disappeared, 12 years ago. So how can that happen? Well, isn't that because someone isn't paying attention? Well, not paying attention in a scenario of a little 5-year-old swimming is a recipe for disaster. And did they take responsibility for that if that happened? I also think it's worth noting what Don says when addressing the question. So he answers it, but then he immediately misdirects away from Summer to talk about his son and teaching his son to swim and some other incident. In addition, he was also asked at the same time whether Summer spoke much or not. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but as far as I could fathom, Don seems to dodge that question as well. He doesn't really go into that aspect. So that's another question that I think lingers, which is how non-verbal was Candace? How much did she speak? What was actually the level of impairment, if any? I do find it curious that it's taken until day 58 just to find out that Summer couldn't swim, when that really ought to have been established on day 1. We didn't find that out from Macbeth or Alison or Grandma or Candace or even Don. None of them volunteered that vital snippet of information. Now, of course, Don has, and it is the most cogent scenario thus far to explain the circumstances leading to the last photo. Does that make sense? I'll be following up this episode with an illustration taken from real life that will show the TCRS version of what and I guess we, the True Crime Rocket Science community, believe happened at the swimming hole and how it happened. Okay, so I'm not going to take it further than that, so you can stand by for that video. I might do it as a live, possibly tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.